It has been more than half a century since the assassination of civil rights leader Malcolm X, but now the Manhattan District Attorney is moving to exonerate two of the men convicted in the killing of an icon. A new investigation found that the FBI and the NYPD withheld evidence that might have cleared the men. 55 years after they were convicted of killing Malcolm X in a case that has long been shrouded in controversy, two of the men found guilty in the civil rights leader's assassination are about to have their convictions thrown out by the Manhattan District Attorney. Muhammad Aziz and Khalil Islam were sentenced to life in prison, even though fellow Nation of Islam member and confessed killer Mujahid Abdul Halim, previously known as Thomas Hagen, denied their involvement. Today, lawyers for the two men are relieved by DA Cyrus Vance's decision, albeit a late one.
On January 4th, 1957, the FBI and CIA had started 24-hour surveillance on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and they were able to wiretap his phones. As one brother believes from the Nation of Islam, if you have this type of surveillance on this individual, you should definitely have proof of his plan to assassinate Malcolm X. In the assassination of Malcolm X, 3 men were arrested. One of them was the actual gunman. Thomas, the trigger man, actually admitted to the press that he was the killer and the 2 other individuals had nothing to do with it. Muhammad Aziz and Khalil Islam on the night of the shooting was not even at the Audubon Ballroom that night. But Thomas Higgins, the shooter, also admitted to that too. A Japanese female friend and worker of Malcolm X was there that night taking notes. On her notes, it wasn't revealed only until this day and age. In the notes it reads something like, "Ray Woods seen running from the room." Now we understand that Ray Woods was a police officer and a police infiltrator. Muhammad Aziz explains that he knew who the real triggerman was and that they had nothing to do with the organization of the Nation of Islam. Now Thomas, the triggerman, was approached by a man named Lee and Wilbert and was told to infiltrate Malcolm X's organization. Now in these meetings they had convinced Thomas to assassinate Malcolm. Now, Malcolm X had a consistent search procedure at every single meeting he ever had, but on the night of his death was the only night that he did not have a search procedure. Now, Gene Roberts had convinced Malcolm's security not to bring weapons at the Audubon Ballroom. Now, somehow, Gene Roberts had become head of Malcolm's security. He was able to convince Malcolm for the first time and his security not to bring protection that night. There were other individuals involved with Malcolm's assassination that were never brought for prosecution. The gunmen were aware that there would be no search procedure allowing them to enter with no hesitation. Malcolm X, revealed while he was in Mecca, believed that he was being watched by the CIA.
In the confession, the former officer, Raymond Wood, who died last year, admitted he entrapped 2 members of Malcolm's security team in another crime, a plot to blow up the Statue of Liberty, just days before the assassination.
Gene Roberts and Ray Woods was 2 New York police officers and was sent to infiltrate Malcolm X's organization. They was part of a special police task force, which was backed by the FBI and the CIA. They were meant to infiltrate black organizations like the Nation of Islam, the Black Panthers, and Malcolm X's organizations right down to Martin Luther King.
The police know the criminal operation of the Black Muslim movement because they have thoroughly infiltrated it.
Because they have thoroughly infiltrated it.
Those black people who were wrongfully convicted by Ray Wood's work, all those people who have been conspired against by the NYPD and the FBI, whether that be Walter Bowe, Khalid Saeed, whether it be Thomas Johnson, who was picked up, who wasn't even at the Audubon Ballroom, but to ensure that Ray's cover would not be blown, was arrested and served almost 3 decades in prison for a crime of killing Malcolm X that they all knew he did not do. and also Tupac Shakur's mother, Fannie Shakur, part of the Panther 21, who Ray Wood testified against, saying that they tried to blow up New York monuments, and therefore, quite literally, she was in prison when she had her prince, Tupac.
Aziz spent 20 years in prison before being paroled in 1985. Tonight, the 83-year-old saying in a statement, "The events that led to my exoneration should never have occurred. Those events were and are the result of a process that was corrupt to its core, one that is all too familiar even in 2021.
And I've noticed that almost every 10 or 15 years they continue to recycle this same lie. Anytime the consciousness of a people begins to rise, they recycle this lie to disconnect the masses of the people from the perfected representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But we read in the Quran that the devil plans, and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planner. So the autobiography of Malcolm X was written with the hopes to turn people away. But the autobiography of Malcolm X has brought thousands of people to the Nation of Islam.